Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank y'all so much for stopping by the live stream. Really appreciate it. Shout out to the NTZ crew. I know y'all on here. Michael Beecher, Life, J. All my fourth quarter members, that's Harry Shoulders. What's up, man? We talk about every day in WhatsApp. I appreciate all y'all support, man. That's Raymond. What's up? He said, certainly loving my time here. Hope a lot of you will be coming to McCarty. College football officially starts this weekend. Yeah, people are excited about that. And then pro football starts next weekend. What's up, Sheldon? He said, I need some motivation this evening. I want to welcome any new viewers and subscribers that are joining us today for the first time. I appreciate y'all coming on. Anybody that's going to catch this on replay. It's been a lot of stories concerning Africa in the news. I just did a video, it hasn't uploaded yet, on a famous Nigerian DJ. In her words, she was harassed by Philippine immigration. On her Facebook account, she calls it my Manila immigration nightmare. What's up, Juice? She's DJ Dimple Nipples. She was hard to come to the Philippines, for a gig. And she accused the man of racism, harassment, said she was mistreated. And of course, it's only one side of the story. It happened in July. I didn't see anything where the Philippine government responded. But she's got over 1 million Instagram followers. She's famous in Nigeria. And she said when she got here, her and her best friend, they had all the right documents. They had the right visa, the return tickets. They had the sponsorship, of course, from the company that hired them, she said. But after that, it all went downhill after that. But I'm going to put the link. The link is going to be in the video. And of course, y'all heard what's going on over in Kenya. It's really like taking over that uh, the travel vlogs right now, man. People are going crazy over that. We'll talk a little bit about that today. Did anybody see what the um, peso was? I forgot to look and see what the peso was. I know it was 56.5 2 days ago on my last live stream. Is it going down or did it come back up? Is what I like to want to know. What's up, Rashard? He said, Uncle, you probably on your cell phone. I'm on break, back to work. When did you say enough is enough when it comes to the hamster wheel? I'm there on enough is enough. I'm ready to go. Excuse me. Also, you're back to work. What did they do? Did they turn down your workman's comp claim? Because they strict, man. But the topic today is come to the Philippines to change your life, not hers. And it's not really about the woman, but it's come here to change your life, not anybody else's. Keep the focus on yourself. And all the horror stories and all the stories you hear, it's because we always put the focus on women for some reason when we travel overseas. And then we get mad when people point that out. When they say, oh, y'all just traveling overseas for women and sex. And then you push back and say, oh, that's not why I'm here. When it's obvious that's why you're here. But see, here's my thing. I worked all those years. Okay, I earned, that's my retirement. That's my social security. This is my time. I made all those sacrifices. We've talked about this so many times, but we don't talk about it enough. only to turn around and come over here and retire somebody else. They're not going to appreciate you, okay? But again, like I said, we're not even talking about the women today. We're just going to talk about some stuff you can do to keep the focus on you. Make yourself the number one priority, because if you don't, you're going to end up broke, guys. You're going to end up unhappy. Because I think at the end of the day, that's what we all want. We want that happiness, man. Who doesn't want to be happy, experience the joy, contentment that goes along with that? Be like, oh man, all those years it was worth it. But some guys, they don't get that, man, because they come to the Philippines to change somebody else's life. They forget about themselves and they go home broke. They go home miserable. They go home worse than what they were. He said, go, Eli. But see, y'all think I just be on here yapping. Go back in my videos that I told you. I said, Filipinos can play tennis. They're great tennis players. I said, I'll be shocked that this next generation doesn't produce a Filipino tennis player on the world stage. And that's what's happened. I even said soccer too. And it's going to happen. I see it over here. I'm living here. Remember, it never gets cold here. So I don't know if she probably was trained over there. But the fact is, I said that because they got some hell of a tennis players over here, man. What's up, C Dub? He says, I agree 100%. I'm in the third quarter and I still think we should be number one. You got to be number one, man. You've chosen, you like the DR, you like Nairobi, Kenya. Well, you got to go there for you, man. You can't go there for some woman. But we get mad, we push back when people point that out. Where are you coming for if you're not coming for that? Then make that clear, make it plain to yourself, though, not nobody else. Don't give a damn what people think about me, man. People always gonna say stuff. Unfiltered Black Abroad said it must be obvious why we're here. I remember the lady booking my flight asked, what women am I visiting? I said, water diving. Yeah, it's funny until it's not funny. Every horror story is because he put the focus on a woman or some other business. Imagine trying to come over here and start a business. You know nothing about running a business in the Philippines. That sounds good. And you end up losing all that money. Look at Jim's Asian Adventures. Go listen to his videos. People talk about him all the time. But man, you can learn a whole lot from listening to him. People like him and me, we've made every mistake. But yeah, he spent all that money trying to open up a 7-Eleven and all that, make it fancy and all that. It didn't work. He went over there and built that big house over there. He wasn't obligated to do that. He went to change her life, not his. Those aren't his children. I'm not picking on Jim. I'm just telling you, he tells the story. If you listen, just like the story that's going on now in Kenya, everybody's all up in arms about it. Of course, we're turning on each other about, that man and his actions. But if you look closely, you can learn a lot from the mistakes he's making. But we don't pay attention because we think it's not going to happen to us. But Terrence Travis says, mine too, bro. Pension, Social Security, and a 403B. 3 more years, bro. If God's willing, I'm retiring. Yeah, I hear you, man. But why do all that? Why save all that money? Why make all those sacrifices? And then you come over here and throw it away on somebody else. I bring somebody into your life that's going to make you miserable. It's going to tie you down. You're not going to be able to do the things that you want to do. You're not going to be able to live the life that you planned on living. I've heard too many stories, man. I've heard too many stories. Yeah, you always going to remember that first trip. And that was the thing about the Nigerian DJ. This is her first trip. She was excited about coming to the Philippines. Now, people in the comments, they're bashing her because, you know, her stage presence, man, she wears a lot of revealing outfits. Well, hell, she's a DJ. I'm pretty sure it's hot over there in Africa. And they're trying to justify the treatment that she received. Nobody deserves it. Hey, I apologize, man. It must be the internet. So I'm on my data now. Let me know. Give me a one if you could still see me clearly. No, I'm back, man. That's what it was. I'm in Heidi's cabin, and it's been raining and stuff here, man, ever since I came to Dumagetti. It's overcast, guys. Give me a one, man, if you can see and hear me clearly. Okay, thanks, Frank. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, but anyway, I'm back. I was talking about the Nigerian DJ who she says faced racism, harassment, and humiliation at the hands of Philippine immigration authorities. It was her first trip to the Philippines, and she was very excited about it, but it turned into a nightmare. And I went on to say that people in the comments, they're justifying her treatment because of the outfit she wears when she's on stage. But that's her act. I'm pretty sure it's hot over there in Africa. So she wears a lot of revealing stuff. I mean, if you got it, flaunt it. She's got a body like that. But that's the video that I did. I haven't uploaded it yet because I don't think the internet's good enough here. I'll upload it on my way to the Starbucks or whatever it is. But I'm saying Africa's been in the news here lately, certainly with this, what he's talking about here. That one brother that went viral in Kenya has a YouTube following that finances his travel because they like to see J Rello crash out. Well, you know, be careful what you wish for. A lot of guys, they want YouTube channels and um, they're jealous of people who have YouTube channels. But I'm going to tell you something, man. With things going on the way they are now, if I were you, I wouldn't even try to start a YouTube channel. And I'm not trying to be hypocritical. I'm just telling you about what I face, what you're going to face if you're successful. I'd rather just come someplace, man, and be under the radar, man, because, man, it's a lot going on in this YouTube genre right now, man. I mean, that ain't no lie, man. And, of course, we're Um, we take a lot of hits. We, people want to blame us. We're turning on ourselves when he's an individual. Sometimes you got to practice some personal agency, man. You know, you got to, realize that people can act independently. They can make decisions, on their own. It doesn't encompass everybody. I'm not responsible for him. You know, can we help hold him accountable? Yeah, by not sending him money, not watching his videos, not having him on your platform. But I'm not even responsible for that. They want you to bend and everything. Look, let the Kenyan authorities handle that, just like the Philippine authorities handled Vitali's ass over here. But uh, I don't feel a need. Man, I'd be all over the place every time a black man did something ignorant to run around, because I got a lot of the video I made, I've got a lot of Africans in the comments. The one lady says, all you African American men, y'all overstayed your welcome here. No, I said, lady, the British overstayed their welcome. They colonized you. People say stupid stuff like that. It's time for us to leave and all of that, right? You know, there's a pushback on travelers, man, and you just gotta be careful. You gotta know where you're going. Far too many of us are just getting on these planes going places. We haven't done any research. We don't do our due diligence. We know nothing. We just arrive and think that, people gonna roll out the red carpet for you and stuff. Until they don't. You gotta understand that a lot of people came before you. There's a lot of history in these places, man. I tell y'all all the time, but y'all don't listen, man. We got a bad reputation over here. All you can do is try to improve it. That's all you can do. You can't mess it up anymore. You can improve it though. You're always fighting to prove that I'm not like everybody else that's been coming over here. I don't want to abuse your daughter. I don't want to marry your wife and everything like that. Yeah, the USA, well, it wasn't the USA at the time though. I love the time. You gotta understand that. But that territory over there was colonized by England, but it wasn't called the USA yet. Well, the only time the critics are going to come is if you gain some traction, and the only reason they come is because they're jealous, and then they can get clicks by saying stuff about you. It's just a world we live in, though, you know. But we still get criticized. I was listening to a live stream, and people don't understand that. You know, passport bro is just the new N word, really. If you don't have a clear definition, a clear cut definition of what a passport bro is, they can call any black man that travels a passport bro. Okay. But it's not what they call you, it's what you answer to. And then you're going to say, I'm not a passport bro. Because the people who are out here promoting them, they've never given us a clear cut definition. One of the definitions is, well, we're tired of the status quo in our countries and we're looking at our options abroad. Okay. But if you allow the outside world to define your movement and your mission, then you ain't got a chance. You're always going to be fighting up a hill. They're calling that J Rello guy a passport bro, even though he clearly said I'm not a passport bro. Well, what is a passport bro? What is a passport bro, guys? Can y'all tell me that? He said the British overstayed their welcome everywhere. Yeah, but it's a damn shame if You got to realize these are Africans. You know, of course, Africa is a continent, but Kenya's in Africa. But these people, they don't say what part of Africa. You just click on their profile, you can see they're from Africa. If Black Americans aren't welcome in Africa, like damn, what's going on for real? He said, "Hello, Cal. Could you make a video in the future about when the Filipino says you're keeping count? What should a man say?" Yeah, well, we talk about that all the time. Solutions, by it's just her way of stating the obvious. You know that you're paying for everything. She just doesn't want you to. She just doesn't want to feel bad about it. You know, she don't want you to, shove it down her throat because they've got a lot of pride, man, over here. So they're really embarrassed. So that's why it's unspoken. It's the unspoken agreement solutions, by. We all know what's happening. We all know what the score is. Just don't bring it up. But sometimes you have to bring it up because they'll take you for granted. They'll start treating you like just another man. That everything that you did, you didn't do. And it doesn't really mean a whole lot. And they can get somebody else to do it. No, every now and then you have to let her know where you stand. But that's what she's saying. You're keeping score. And then all you gotta do is say, well, you're trying to pussy whip me. But that's really all it is. He said, you guys notice an uptick in anti-Filipino videos coming from expats. Well, real channels, not real channels, these faceless channels, the AI channels, because Greg, you have to understand that that's going to get the clicks. Okay. YouTube is all about the clicks, guys. That's how you get paid. It's not about the subscribers. Even though the more subscribers you got, the more likely you're going to get more clicks because they're going to watch your videos, but not really. But I said that, and that's simply because, people, we love the drama. We love bad news. Every time I make a video, it's like, okay, Texas Filipino, his video came across my feed today. It was like, it said, the thumbnail said, we're leaving the Philippines. No, no need to stay here any longer, right? That thing's got 21,000 clicks, even though he's not talking about leaving the Philippines. He's talking about going back to Texas temporarily because he's got why we're leaving the Philippines. People click on stuff like that because they love bad news. That's what sells newspapers. That's why you watch the news at night. You don't watch it for the good stuff. He says people need to understand making YouTube expert videos is about 70% research and the other 25% is making the videos. No, no. It's not in my case. In some cases, yeah. But I just talk about my experiences, paragraphics. That's why I've got so many videos. I can do that. Some people do need to do all the research and stuff like that. I don't. And you do better off if you just talk about your life over here. It'll cause you a lot less headache. Sakara says, "What's up, Cal? I win the Powerball. A Mega Millions. I promise to give you $1 million. Oh man, I'm hoping then. I got my fingers crossed." Yeah, it's really what it is. And people, y'all don't understand. If you don't have a channel and then you try to figure out what your audience wants, and that's what they really want. They don't want positive stuff for real. There's so much positive stuff. There's so many positive videos I did, but y'all don't want that because you think, oh, I can't tell you anything. I know a little bit about changing my life and turning your life around. I know a little bit about that, but y'all think I can't tell you anything. You don't want to hear that kind of stuff. You don't want to hear about coming over here, finding a good woman, settling down, living a boring life. Remember, being square over here is the goal for real. Those young guys, man, my audience is not young guys. So I don't rip them run around. My audience has changed, man. It used to be a lot of mongers on my channel, but it's not anymore. So you see that my videos don't get all the views they used to get because that's all they want to see. They want to see that J Rello type stuff. They want to see you going around fooling with different women or even just talking about it. They want to live that fantasy through you. But you have to know your audience. Yeah, and see, black men, we're the only ones who have to carry the weight of the Hitlers of our race. I'm constantly being compared to, or put into the same basket as the worst black men who've ever lived. I'm judged against that. That's crazy. People don't even think about personal agency, man. You know, you got to be independent, man. You got to think independently and make those type of decisions. We're not monolithic, and this is how we're treated. I'm not going to debate anybody about it. It's apparent. I mean, so I'm supposed to. uh no, it's not a play on words. You have to click on the damn video, Frank. What do you think? You got to click on it. That's what they call it the on the in the computer world or on your phone. That's what you're doing. You're clicking on it. Well, no, it's not. It's not research. It's your experience. It's not considered research. I mean, I'm not gonna argue about it. I mean, to some people, it is a struggle to come up with content. But me, Paragraphic, it's not. Because I just have conversations for real. That's all. It's just like we're having a conversation now. I'm just responding. I can conversate based on your comments. Or if I make a video, I'm just having a conversation. It's like we're in the break room at work. Or after we finish playing basketball. You know how it is. Or we're over somebody's house at Thanksgiving or Christmas. You're just talking. I don't put a whole lot of thought into it. Some people do. They intentionally go out and make those nice videos like that, and they're rewarded for it by all these views and stuff. He said, I see that Gio is leaving the Philippines for Thailand. Yeah, he's already left. And he's been over here long enough, man. You can actually have it all over here. It's so close, man. If you think Thailand and the Philippines are close, try Thailand and Vietnam. See how close that is. I saw where the young guy, what's his name, Isaiah or something. He's got a big following. Where he's got like a positive channel. You don't ever see him talking about that mongrel stuff. He's moved from Thailand to Vietnam. He shows you around different uh, condos and different stuff like that, and interviews, people and everything like that. He said, if it's not about a woman, they don't want to hear it. Yeah, a lot of them. You're right. And so that's why you see so many videos about relationships. We just want to be assured and reassured over and over and over that when I come over there, I can have a woman. See, and that's the whole point of the video. Come to the Philippines to change your life, not hers. I got this because my buddy Sammy Davis, he said, come to the Philippines to change your life, not wreck it. Okay. Now that's a play on words that I took from what he told me. But I could have named it that. Same thing. Whenever you put the needs of somebody else ahead of yours, you're headed for trouble. You're headed for a wreck. What's up, Jungle Man Adventures? You're headed for a wreck. But we like that drama. That's why that man went viral. Imagine he went viral for crashing out on a woman in Kenya. Vitaly went viral. A lot of guys go viral for that kind of stuff. He said, Philippines and pancakes, man. Believe it or not, I feel guilty today. Man, right before I came to Dumageddon, Maryland made me some pineapple pancakes, man. They were perfect. You know, Maryland's a perfectionist, so she had a little bit. The edges was a little crusty, right, where she thought she had made a mistake. I like my edges crusty. I like my pancakes a little crusty. I don't like my women crusty, but I like my pancakes crusty. Yeah, I am. You know, I am. He said, Cal, you think about putting in for your military SRV, you qualify now. Yeah, but it just depends. Okay, which one I want, that or the 13A, you know. But my first thing right now, man, is I'm focused on getting booby situated, you know, uh, because honestly, man, something like that really wouldn't benefit me. A SRV wouldn't benefit me, believe it or not. I mean, it just wouldn't. Other than to keep people off my back, you know, that's all it would be. It would bring me on the inside. I really don't want to be on the inside. I want to remain on the outside. I promise you, man. Okay. That just gives people, Filipinos and the authorities, you know, it just tightens their grip they have on you. I'm okay, you know, going every 2 months to do Maggette right now. I'm not in a rush to do that. You know, it's not one guy that I deal with, I watch on YouTube that has an SRV that show me it's even worth it. It's like, well, why do you have it? They just have it just so they don't have to leave the country. They just check in once a year or whatever it is. I don't think I want to go through all that just for that. I could do that on a tourist visa. He says, are you being squares while I watch you? I'm squaring now here in the States. I will continue being a square in the Philippines. That's where it's at, man. If you want to last over here, if you want to have some peace of mind. But, you know, the thing is this. Most of us, man, we're afraid. We don't want to take any risk. Not realizing that when you take calculated risk, it really helps you. Okay? Look that up if you don't believe me. We need to take more risk. And what bigger risk than to get out of your damn comfort zone and visit another country or even relocate to another country and have to adapt and start all over again? It's a challenge, man. But it helps you, man, because we fit ourselves into that zone, into that comfort zone, into that box. You need to break out of that. You don't know what you're capable of, but we don't take any risk, man. He said content creator decides on what they choose to bring to the viewer, so those viewers should be held accountable for just themselves. Yeah, I'm not going to be accountable. I'm not going to be holding any strangers accountable. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me. I can do it in my own way. If I don't like something some stranger's doing, then I'm not going to follow him. I'm not going to pick up the phone and call the police on the man. He's a complete stranger. What he's doing doesn't affect me in any kind of way, even though people say, yeah, it's a bad reflection on black men. It's not. Not me, because I practice personal agency. Okay. I'm independent. I'm an individual, man. I make decisions based on my life, not what everybody else is doing. The image of black men is so bad, you can't do anything to mess it up. All you can do is improve it. That's all you can do. You see people going, oh, he's making y'all living in a fantasy, man. I live in real life. Where can a black man go, man? People look at us. People are actually scared of us. Some places we go without ever knowing us. You know, and me and Merlin was talking about it. I said, I'm glad that I'm bringing black men to St. Carlos City where y'all can see up close and meet that we're just like everybody else. We're not these monsters y'all make us out to be, afraid of somebody based on the color of their skin. And you know, every woman I've ever dealt with over here, the first thing her friends ask her, oh, does he mistreat you? Is he strict? Strict means mean. Or does he take good care of you? And the more black men they see in St. Carlos City, the type that I attract, the more you can get rid of that foolishness, man. Friend of mine, man, his ex, they broke up. Okay, he's black. And guess what? She married a black man. Okay, because of him. And seeing that he's not some monster. And black men aren't this these old pookies and ray rays that everybody make us out to be. Okay? And then remember, they have no experience. Either way, they're just going by what people tell them. So they think, yeah, white is right, brown stick around, black get back. And then they have their own experience. Now they got something to weigh it up against. He says, I feel I do great things for Filipinos. I'm a positive influence for my race, and I'm aware of my actions at all times. That's personal agency. That's all that is, Thomas. And you're exactly right. That's what we all should do. But that's just who I am. I don't do that to prove to anybody. Oh, look at me. I'm just that way. So if they want to make the connection, oh, he's a black man. Look at him. He's nothing like the stereotype. Then let him do it. But that's not why I do the stuff I do. We just live in that, and you know, it's just the times, man, that we live in. We've been living in them for a long time. But to deny it is what gets to me. To not really truly understand that as a black man, there's nothing I can do in America, man. It's going to change some people's attitudes. There's nothing I can do, nothing I can say. Okay? That's just how it is. But I don't worry about that. I don't let that hold me back, man. But it's a heavy burden to carry, but I don't let it hold me back. He said, Square is a hardworking, family-oriented, nonviolent criminal. That's all that doesn't rip and run. If you come over here and hang around with me, Brian, you're going to say, man, you guys got a boring life. But I'm probably going to live a lot longer, certainly a lot happier than these guys ripping and running on these motorcycles, jumping in and out of bed with these different women. But that's what people want to see. Well, I'm not going to do it. I think for myself. Hey, Mr. Ray, thanks for that super chat. Your brother Cal is Glockavius, not Ray Ray. Whatever it is, you know, because some guy, if you look in the video I made about we need to stop apologizing for shit we didn't do, he starts talking about the way black men treat each other. And I said, hey, I agree, but we're not doing anything different than no other race does. Black men aren't getting on planes flying over to the Philippines killing Filipinos. Filipinos kill Filipinos. Chinese kill Chinese, etc., etc. But we're all human beings, man. That's innate in us. Look it up if you don't think. And it probably goes back to a hunter and gathering days. It probably has a lot to do with evolution. If you wasn't violent, do you think you still the human race would still be around? I don't think it would be. But we forget about all that stuff, man. We don't even think for ourselves. It's just common sense stuff. Because I Googled this. I said, which is worse on society today? Greed or violence? And he said, they coexist together. They feed off of each other. I was shocked at that answer, but it's true. He said, Dinkle McCringleberry is more like it. He said, why should I be ashamed of who I am? All the cool, saying, fashion come from my culture. Well, it's even deeper than that. It's like, why do I even have to explain something that I had no control over? Okay, there's no science that backs up all that stuff that people bring out, you know. But if you don't control the narrative, that's all black people and black men have to do in America is control our narrative, but we don't. Somebody else controls it. So all that stuff is out there. The way I fight against it is just be the man my mother raised me to be. But I'm not doing it to prove to anybody because I don't have anything to prove. He said, you can't deal with married women in the Philippines without going to jail and risking your life, Greg. Well, that's not true. That's not true at all. And people say that. Now, you can't deal with married women in the Philippines who still has a husband that's still in love with her. Okay, and she's probably still living with. Now she may go to jail and you may end up getting killed. But there's so many men over here who are dealing with married women who are separated. I wouldn't do it though. The very first woman that I really started dealing with in the Philippines, I'm telling you from experience, she was still married. But the only reason I really kept going is because she lived, her and her ex, well, they was, they were still married because they have to get an annulment over here. They lived in the same building. He lived on the bottom with his new family. This is crazy, right? With his new younger girlfriend and their baby. They had a new baby. And she lived at the top. He would see us coming back and forth over there. It was no big deal. But had that not been the case, would I suggest you deal with married women? No, because it's going to cost you a whole lot of money. There's good and bad to that, Q. The good thing is if you say, oh, I don't want to get married, now you got friends with benefits. Okay, you know that pressure is not on you to get married. But if you fall in love and you decide, hey, I want to get married, now you got to pay for the annulment. You got to wait all that time for it to get approved. And then who are you? Who are you marrying? Who is she? Because you're only getting one side of the story. Maybe she's the reason why the marriage exploded and didn't work out. But they're always going to throw the Filipino man under the bus every single time, 100% of the time. So I wouldn't do it. I'm against dating, uh, separated women over here. He said, hey, Cal, can retired Americans work in the Philippines for pesos if they want to? Well, if you got the right visa, you got SRV, you got a permanent resident visa, but you just can't do it just to do it. I mean, you got to have the right visa over here. He said, man, you should definitely do a fresh episode on dealing with separate women. But we can talk about it on the live streams. Man, I be on here for 2 hours, man. My videos are only 9 or 10 minutes. It's just a decision you gotta make. But there's some drawbacks, man. More drawbacks than more cons than pros. Because you don't know where that man is, first of all. Just think, this woman wasn't honest with me. That man was living in the same building as her. See, a lot of guys are experiencing that now. The woman just ain't told them that the guy that keeps coming over there fixing on the windows and painting the house is her ex-husband. And he lives somewhere close by them. Unless he's an OFW or something like that. And imagine if he's still in love. Now you got problems. And the jealousy kicks in. And you're treating her so much better. You're making him look bad around his friends and his family. Because you're doing things for her that he couldn't do. He just didn't have the wherewithal to do it. It can cause trouble over here. So yeah, I would, even if a woman has children, man, you gotta find out where that man is. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Okay, tell me the truth. Where is he? What happened? And I know that Merlin's been telling the truth because I haven't seen him. I've never seen the man. He's never come around. Okay. It's just how it is. But like I said, we're just showing up over here. We're just showing up over here, guys, and that's not good. That's all we're doing a lot of times, just showing up. We're not doing any kind of research. We're not asking any questions. You know, we're just coming over here thinking that we can run the place. He said, nothing in the world is more dangerous than sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity. Well, that's true. And that's what happens. That's why it's, people are, they're all the time, want to push back against vloggers, man. Vloggers can help you. They can unpeel that onion, so to speak. You got to eventually get over here, but they can peel the layers back of that onion and give you, the real vloggers, not the ones on here entertaining. But part of it is entertainment. But yeah, they can peel back some of those layers, you know. But when you come over here and deal with a woman, even if she doesn't have children, you got to know about the ex, man. She's had a man before, more than likely. Where is he? Does he live somewhere around here? How, how did it end? Does he still contact you? Is he, you think he still has feelings for you? But we don't ask those kind of questions. He said, man, nobody risking their life to deal with a married woman. This is bad advice. What are you talking about? Who are you talking to? I didn't say deal with it. Bad advice. You the one talking about it. I'm telling you that they're not going to automatically lock you up because they found out you're dealing with a married woman, and then you would have a leg to stand on. You can say, well, she told me she was single. And he's probably going to bring charges against the woman, not you. But in a lot of times, Q, we don't even know the woman's married. They don't spend the 200 or 300 pesos to get the cinema report. You know, you don't listen very well because I said I advise against it. Okay, because either way it goes, man, you really can't win. I've seen guys come over here and they do that. I went to a wedding of a couple, guys from Canada, and the woman's from the Philippines. They met in Manila. He waited around for the 5 years. He paid for the annulment, and they're married now. And if you want to do that, okay, go ahead and do it. But it's expensive. He said, so he can still file a complaint in that instance to extort you. No. I mean, he can file a complaint all he wants. Your defense would be, I didn't know she was married. But the thing about it is, if I seen more instances where that happens, you tell me I've been over here for 17 years, I've been on YouTube for 5 years. I've never heard that story. Okay? I'm pretty sure it happens. I just haven't heard it. Where the man comes over here dealing with a married woman and the husband files a case against him and he goes to jail or whatever it is. That doesn't mean it don't happen. I'm just saying I've never heard of it happening. It doesn't happen a lot. You know, but remember we're grown men and you can't tell us anything. You know, if they see the woman and they really like her and they're attracted and she's doing and saying everything they want to hear, they don't care. He's probably thinking, well, at least I don't have to marry her. But that I do know that there's a lot of jealousy going on over here. You know, Filipinos ain't no different than anybody else. But you can imagine what the man would feel like if he still cared about her. And you sitting there, she got the new motorcycle, she's living real nice, you're taking care of his kids. Man, that's a slap in his face. That woman better be honest with you so you can move her away from him. He said, can't you get locked up for having an intimate relationship with a woman that doesn't get a number? Has that happened? I guess it's the law, but they would bring charges against her. They're not going to bring charges against you. How would you know? But that's why it's important that we just stop coming over here on planes and do some more stuff first. You're the one talking about research. If the woman's married, then that's a decision you could easily make in the beginning. Don't wait till you fall in love with the woman. I get catch feelings for her. And then you want to travel all the way over here and take that chance. You know, it's easy to say no in the beginning, guys. But we wait until way down the line to say no. It's harder. The longer you with somebody, the harder it is to say no. Because you're emotionally connected now. He said women can cause men more problems than what they're worth. Sometimes it's better to just stay single. Well, that's a decision you got to make. You know, that's just a decision you got to make. For me, okay, the problems that I have to deal with, man, it's not as worse as being alone, okay, and dealing with these old different women, masturbating and all of that old kind of stuff. Because I deal with very few problems. I'm square, man. I'm settled in. Benny E.T. says, I've seen a lot of passport bros always bashing on the Filipino men, but never the women. Where did you see that? I didn't see that. I've never seen that. Man, you guys get on here, man, with a bunch of stuff. I watch the same videos that you watch. Ain't seen no guys bashing no Filipino men because we know very little about the Filipino man, Benny E.T. Okay, There's not one person watching this right now that has over 3 Filipino men, friends here. We act like they don't even exist. We ignore Filipino men because we focus on the woman, but we don't bash them. That's not true. I mean, I don't know what other people do, but I don't see that. We're not even into, they have nothing in common with us other than they like Filipino women and we do too. We can learn so much from them though, because the woman you're with and the men over here, they're grown from the same soil. If you really want to understand the woman you're dealing with, start paying attention to these men. That's who you're dealing with. It came to me one time. I was on the ferry, and I'm just sitting there. I'm drinking a coffee. I'm waiting for the boat to dock. If we're docking, and I see these men, and and my heart went out to them because a lot of them, and they really, they look tired. They're coming from work. You know, they don't have a dating site where they can go to and get the help like the women have. Okay, the only difference is the woman has the pussy. That's the only difference. Okay, and she can negotiate with you. She has a dating site she can go to where men will lift her out of poverty. The men don't have that. They have to lift themselves out of poverty. But if you want to know about the women you're dealing with, start paying attention to the men. They have the same habits. They eat the same foods. They laugh at the same jokes. But you're afraid because you're afraid of what you're going to find out. That's when you know who you're really dealing with. That's when you know the women that you're dealing with, man, over here. If you act like women are different from the men, if you want to know, start paying attention to the men and what they do, the bad habits and the good habits. The woman's got the same one. He said, I got a few Filipino friends I made when I was over there. I still talk to them regularly. They cool as a freezer. Yeah, I do too, but you're not interested in them. You don't hang out with them. If you want to know how little you have in common with the woman that you so in love with, hang out with a Filipino man then, and you're going to see. But you're never going to do that because you want to think, oh, God sent me this woman. This is my soulmate and all that. You're afraid of what you're really going to find out. This is what you need to do, okay, before you start getting serious over here. Man, we ain't got nothing in common with these women. We're just human beings. That's it. I'm not shocked when relationships don't work over here. I'm shocked when they work. When you get guys on here and say, man, I've been, the Filipinos they met over here, not the ones that live in America. They're Americans. And they say, oh, we've been together for 15 years or 12 years or whatever it is. I applaud them guys because I know it's not easy. And it's a lot of stuff you got to look the other way. But that's why it's best to come over here to change your life. Make yourself the focus first. Get settled in first, man, before you start. Man, we put the cart before the horse, man. I talk about this on every live stream I make. We start doing stuff long before we should even be thinking about doing it. Why would you come over here and try to start a business like Broke John did? He wasn't over here 6 months, and he's already trying to start a business. And that's where most of his money went to. I learned that, man. Okay, me and Marilyn first started dealing with each other. And my son was still in Zamboanga. And, I should have to go back and forth. Well, I was like, okay, while I'm down here, what kind of business could we start, to keep you busy, give you something to do because I retired her. So she said, well, let's have a wholesale rice business. Okay, so we go out and buy, well, I go out and buy so many bags of rice, and she goes around and sells it. Well, the problem is everybody wants credit. So we give out all the rice on credit, and then when it comes time to get the money, maybe half the people give you the money, then the other half says, wait until I get paid again. So then the people that pay you, then they want more credit. It didn't work. I ended up losing all that money that I spent. There's people right now who still owe us. This is years ago, man. We've been together almost 7 years. This has been about 5 years ago, before we had this house. They still owe us for rice. He said, I'll tell y'all the truth, as a half breed, most Filipino guys don't think much of foreign men. The tomboys, on the other hand, is a different story. Well, like I said, I haven't had any bad experiences with men over here. I don't really know what they think. I know that I haven't had any bad experiences because, first of all, the women I'm with, they're gonna watch you. I treat them good. I carry myself a certain way. I act a certain way when I'm over here. They don't see me as a threat. Can I feel some vibes if they're with their woman and they may think I'm watching their woman or something? Yeah, they're jealous like that. But obviously, they're going to feel some kind of way, but not so much that it's going to make me feel unwelcome. I just haven't. I just haven't um, got that vibe. I haven't had that experience. You could be right, but you know. Yeah, he said, why not start a business? Since when did being lazy become the norm? Well, we're not saying that. He said men should always strive for more. Yeah, when you know what you're doing. Do you have a business plan, Q? You don't have a business plan. Do you have the right visa to start a business? What business are you gonna start over here? How much do you know about Filipino culture to even begin to think about starting a business? You're thinking it works the same way as it does in America, but it don't. Who's gonna be your target market? And you sound stupid sometimes. There's nothing wrong with starting a business because a lot of the foreigners over here who start businesses have some type of business that targets foreigners. Bars, restaurants, you know. My thing is be careful though when you come over here and you start up a brick and mortar business. First of all, make sure you got the right visa. Second of all, they're really going to look at you because they already think, oh, he's rich. Now you're going to come over here and you're going to sell barbecue right next to a Filipino selling barbecue. Yeah, good luck with that. Okay, and you talk about um, them feeling a certain kind of way about you. Yeah, because they're going to feel, yeah, he's coming over here, he's taking food off my table. They may burn your business down. They may kill you. They've done it, man. You know, I would feel a certain kind of way if I'm, you know, man, I'm doing everything I can. I'm scratching, you know, to get to the top, and here comes this guy in who really, with the money you're gonna earn in that business, you probably shouldn't even open it anyway. It's like a slap in my face. Yeah, I'm gonna feel some type of way to you. You know, you're not gonna be earning. You're gonna be spending in dollars and earning in pesos. Yeah, good luck with that. You gotta for every dollar you invest, you gotta get 57 pesos back. You don't have that kind of patience, man. So you see people doing it all the time. You better be over here doing something that's not being done already. Targeting foreigners, like subleasing apartments, Airbnb, that sort of thing. And you better have a damn good business plan. Because no matter what you decide to do over here, it's going to be hell of a competition, no matter what it is you decide to do. Oh, you want to fix flat tires? There's 10 on every corner, those vulcanizing places. You want to wash clothes? There's 20 places. You want to open a massage business? There's 15 right around from where you are. A restaurant? Oh man, 100. You better know what you're doing. But I'm saying it's okay to do that if that's what you want to do. But I'm saying come over here first. Get settled. Get acclimated first. See how things move. See how people move around here. You're putting the cart before the horse. You can't even focus on what you need to be focused on, thinking about a business, thinking about a woman, having children, and all that stuff. That's what I'm saying. Come over here to change your life first. Come over here and find whatever it is you're looking for first. If that's, what you need to change your life, if you made a decision, okay, I'm gonna get married, or I'm gonna have a live-in partner, okay, and bring her along with me, okay. But come here to change your life, man. He said going to the Philippines and starting a business as a foreigner is kind of a crap thing to do, in my opinion. It's like taking money from the local businesses when you already have money. Didn't I just say that? But everybody doesn't feel the same way we feel, Cisco. If you want problems with the locals, man, you're probably going to have problems. Or they're not going to patronize you. If you're going to open a business here, then put Maria out front. And then they're going to figure it out. She's never had, how did she start this business? But they won't even go that far. They're going to patronize their own. I give them that. Again, go and listen to Jim. He'll tell you when he started that 7-Eleven business, right? But he's out front every damn day. This is what he didn't tell you. He spent all that money, bought all this fancy stuff, fixed it up, paying rent and everything. But he's out front where the people can see him every day. They're going right next door to the little raggedy sorry store, buying all their stuff. He went out of business in record time. You can't be seen out there, and then if you do get successful, they're watching you too. And that's going to be trouble. How many times I tell y'all about the story of the guy who had a heck of a business plan, American, down in Cebu City. He had a cookie business. He was consigning his cookies to the businesses. And every Wednesday he'd go around and collect, the money. Well, his business was booming. And hell, one Wednesday, imagine now, 250,000. They killed him for it. Didn't touch his wife. This is on one Wednesday. He's going around. This guy had a hell of a thriving business, man. It's going to bring some unneeded attention. He didn't deserve to be killed like that, man. But that's what happens when you decide to open up a business somewhere you don't know anything about. They just watch his business get big like that. Somebody probably told him, hey, this guy, every Wednesday, man, he's getting a lot of money. He's selling a lot of cookies. I think it was 2018. Look that up, man. He said vulcanizers charge very little for their service as well. Not a profitable business. Look, man, you're going to be spending in dollars and you're going to be collecting pesos. For every dollar you invest, you got to get 57 back, man. You better know what you're doing. Even if you do got a successful business, what are you earning? You might as well just give it to the woman. Let her deal with it because it's a headache. You still got to do all the inventory. You still got to watch the people, make sure they're not stealing your money, the taxes. You got to do all that stuff. I came over to retire. I didn't come over to do all that stuff. Hey, Unfiltered Black Abroad, thanks for that super chat. I'm going to read it. I'm on my phone once you get out of the way. But remember, man, know what you want when you come over. Know why you coming over here to begin with. That's why I would say instead of a lot of guys are making one trip over here and they're staying. They're selling everything, are putting it in storage and all of that before they even know whether or not the Philippines is really the place that's going to change their life. But they're not coming over here to change their life. They're coming over here to change somebody else's life. And that's where the horror stories come in. The guy says, well, sometimes women can be, they can cause so much trouble that it's best to be single. Well, why not be single then for a little while? You're not going to do it though. The smart men are. I met a guy, he knows who I am. We see each other at the immigration from time to time. I go every 2 months, so I may see him once or twice a year. Well, I saw him there yesterday. I thought he was married. The older white guy, he says, no. He said, I'm single. He said, I'm not going to make that mistake again. He said, certainly not here. You know, he's an older guy. He got to be in his maybe late 60s, early 70s. But he's over here for him. What's wrong with that? Y'all have no idea how expensive these relationships are. Not can be, they are. It's expensive. Let me see. But yeah, that guy, man, he had a successful cookie business, man. Earned a lot of money. Here it is. Thanks, Q. He says, starting a family abroad was a part of my plan. Procreation is ultimate self-preservation. He said, a business comes along with that. Don't let fear hold you back. Well, it's not the fear. Just make sure you know what you're doing, man. So many people have walked down that road. You're not the first one. What business? You keep talking about a business. What kind of business you gonna open over here? I mean, it sounds good. Do you even have the money to start it up? What are you gonna do? I mean, talk about, don't just come on here, Q, blandly saying stuff like this. What kind of business you talking about starting over here? And do you have a business plan? More than likely you don't. That's the reason why a lot of businesses over here go broke. They don't have a business plan. They don't know nothing about inventory. Okay, I'm gonna tell you something, and Merlin can vouch for this. Sometimes I'll go to a store and I'll like something, and within a week I buy it all. I buy all the stock, like Secret deodorant, and then I'll come back the next week and they haven't restocked it. I'm like, don't y'all see that this stuff is leaving the shelf long before the Dove soap and the Axe? The Secret is gone. Aren't you supposed to restock that? That's one of the first principles of the science of getting rich. Give people what they want. Give people what they ask for. If somebody comes to your business and asks you one time for something you don't got, you're supposed to go out and get it because they're coming back. But they're only going to come back that one time. He said, why go all the way to the Philippines just to create a job for yourself? Owning a business is not a passive investment. Thank you. But he thinks it is. If I'm coming over here to retire, now I'm coming over here and I can't retire, I don't have enough money to retire, I don't have a passive income, and that's the only way I can stay over here with my family, I'm going to think long and hard about it. But I'm going to think long and hard about it. Somebody's going to help me with a business plan. And then, okay, you see what happened to Philippines in full effect. That they had a successful business. And then the pandemic came. See, you got to plan for emergencies and catastrophes and stuff like that. He said, my 2 cents, if you need to work, what better place to make money than America? There isn't. Yeah. So if you need to work, stay in the States or get remote work. Yeah. Open up a business there, Q. Because, man, unless you are one of these oligarchs and one of these capitalists over here, and you got billions of pesos to create a beer like San Miguel Light or something like that, or G Cash, Wi-Fi, something like that, dude. Man, listen, man, you got a steep hill to climb over here. Has it been done? Absolutely. Is it impossible? No, it's not impossible. But why would you do all of that? Yeah, that's what I just said. He said, Cal, what's the husband and wife and Elo that has sexual lemonade business? Philippines in full effect. But guess what happened? The pandemic, and they lost it. They never will have ever been able to recover. You got to plan on stuff like that. This is the Philippines. They never saw that coming. And the key word there, Frank, is had. Not has, but had the successful lemonade business. I don't know why you got like that. You said had. They no longer have their business. I'm pretty sure they lost on that. But they had a great idea. They had a great thing going. But some things you can't plan for. And they certainly didn't plan for that pandemic because he was talking about that before Stephen. He said, when he came to our meet and greet, he said, when the lockdowns happened and they had the spots in the mall, the people were still charging them the same amount of rent for the stalls, even though nobody was able to come there. You were locked down. It was stay in place here. I don't know about where y'all were. Philippines had the strictest lockdown on the planet. So how you going to own a business? How you going to run a successful business if you're not getting any customers, but you still have overhead, which is your rent, and you still got to keep those lemons and stuff fresh. After a while, they're gonna go bad. He said some people just have to learn the hard way. If you start a business dealing directly with foreigners, maybe that will work. If you start putting them out of business, you'll have problems. It is, and you're right. Some people do. He's gonna have to learn the hard way. I mean, but that's the whole point, though, of having people who come before you, and you know what I'm saying, and giving you good sound advice. You don't have to make the same mistakes everybody else is making. He said, Cal, I think that expert you interviewed who opened up a restaurant will get himself in trouble without the correct visa. Yeah, because what's going to happen is either a disgruntled employee or a jealous competitor is going to turn him in. Could be his girlfriend. Maybe they fall out. You know, but you don't want to take those kind of risks. Those are just unnecessary risks. But remember, we think we're at home when we come over here. Unfortunately, too many of us are finding out, man, you're not at home. Welcome to the Philippines or wherever you are. You don't have the same rights, protections, and privileges that you enjoy at home. But yeah, what do you mean? He may get himself in trouble. It's going to eventually happen. Because remember, this is the reason why a lot of the crimes are solved in the Philippines. They'll tell on you. Okay, there ain't no penitentiary mentality over here. They're gonna tell on you. So if you're doing something over here, they're gonna tell. If you fooling with a woman, she's gonna tell your wife eventually or your other girlfriend. They do that. They're gonna tell, and then them two are gonna be talking amongst themselves, and you ain't gonna know what they're doing. But they're certainly gonna tell on you over here. He said, how's the brother you doing? How's the brother doing you interviewed that opened up the pizza place? Well, he serves more than pizza. He says he's doing fine from the last I heard. Now, when we went to Manila, I messaged him because I said, hey, did you deliver? But he didn't deliver that far. He's in Cavite. I mean, I wish him the best of luck, but if I'm going to open up a business in the Philippines, it's not going to be a restaurant. If it is, you got to have some type of corporate backing. You got to have money, man. Otherwise, I don't believe it's going to work. It's just too much. The competition is just too stiff. And I just don't think you know enough about the culture and the people. Certainly the food, even though his girlfriend is doing some of the cooking, I don't know enough about it to open up a restaurant. Now you see uh, Koreans. You know why Koreans succeed? Korean businesses over here succeed. Japanese businesses, Chinese, because they cater to themselves. Okay, they cater to other Koreans, and then okay, if they get, and this is what they base their business plan on. Okay, and if they get Americans and other foreigners, okay, that's even more business. If you want a perfect example, go to Lapu Lapu. There's a place called the Morning Glory Grill. On most times, you need a reservation because if you don't, and you go there and you're able to get in, eventually you're going to look around and there's going to be nothing but Koreans in there. You see very few Filipinos in there, very few foreigners, but the food is so delicious because their business plan is okay, no matter what, this is our target market. He said, this is why credibility matters. We get medical advice from plumbers instead of doctors. No, over here, I started a business. I'm living here. I've been here for a long, long time. It's not impossible, but you don't have a business plan. You can't even tell us, Q, what your business is going to be because you're just talking crap, man. So you're just talking shit, man. You're not really serious about opening up no business because you already came out with that. Here's what I'm going to do. Here's how we're going to do it. Here's how much money I'm going to invest. Here's my business plan. Here's where it's going to be located. But you're not doing it. You just do it, talking that stuff just for an argument. He said, hey, Cal, after your 62 years, if you could do it all over again, would you have ever gotten married and had kids, or would you have stayed single and child free all your life? Well, I don't live hypothetically, man. I did what I did, and I'm still here, man. I've gotten through it. You learn a lot from that stuff. I love my kids, man, and to think that, all the good times they've given me, to take all that out and say, oh, that never even uh, happened. No, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't go back like that. Because remember, my mother died before I ever had children. I was 31 when my daughter was born, about to turn 32 when my first daughter was born. So I think, no, I wouldn't have changed anything because it really does, man. Remember, our lives are just the aggregate of all of the decisions and choices we made. I wouldn't be here right now. I wouldn't be the person I am, and I didn't get strung out on the crack cocaine and all that stuff. Because my life really hasn't been that bad. It was only my last 2 years of my marriage that really were bad. Man, we accomplished a lot together, man. We got a lot of great memories, and I made her chuckle when I told her that, my American wife. I said, we had those 16 good years together. You can't take that away from me. You know, it made her feel good because she knew I was telling the truth. It wasn't all bad. He said, good luck trying to earn money in the Philippines if you couldn't earn money in the United States. If you could earn money in the United States, why you need to start a business in the Philippines? Man, you up against it over here, but we just try to share our knowledge with people, Cisco. People either can listen or not. It sounds good, man. People come over here all the time and they think, oh, I can, this is the Philippines, man. I can start a business over here. It's not going to cost me that much. Not knowing the competition, the regulations, and all of that they got to deal with. And then the bad guys, okay, remember most of the time you're invisible over here. But when you open up a business, they can see you now. When Filipinos see me, but once they get past me, I'm invisible now. They're thinking about the job, the family, and everything like that. But if I open up a brick and mortar business, oh, they seeing me every day now. I'm constantly in their mind every time they go past that store. And even the bad guys are going to see you. Okay. But we don't take that into consideration. We just think, oh, well, I can come over and open up a business. Knowing nothing about the culture. You haven't been over here a New York minute. And man, you know how, no matter where you are, the responsibility of starting a business. Like the guy said, don't get it. It's not a passive investment. You got to put your heart and soul into it. Then it's going to be years before you ever even see a profit. I'm not discouraging you from not doing it. But if you're coming from America, man, you got to have something better. Okay, you got to have a better plan than that. Because you see Filipinos doing it all the time. It's a lot of self-made millionaires basically over here. People who become successful on those businesses. But they're at home. They know the tendencies and everything of their fellow man. You don't know. You don't even know when people get paid over here. You're trying to start a business. You got to plan for all of that. Because even on the day they're supposed to get paid, okay, they don't get paid, a lot of them. The pay is always late. So you're sitting there waiting for the rush to come and it never comes. Oh, it's the 15th. Everybody gets paid today. I'm going to get a rush. No, then they don't get paid till the 20th. By that time, they all discouraged and, they're not trying to eat out because they don't borrow 5 more days worth of wages from somebody else. He said, yo, what's up, Cal? I'm here at the gym benching 215. I only weigh 157. Wow. The video that I've got, I'm benching 220. That's the most. But I'm pretty sure I could probably bench more. I don't even know about now because then I was working out every single day. And I benched 220 20 times. I did it 10 times on camera and 10 times off. Man, that's heavy what you're doing at 157. How old are you? Hey, Unlimited Black Abroad, he said, thanks for that super chat. He said, starting a business is reserved for bosses. Yeah, I guess it is. You still haven't told us what business you're going to open. Okay, now, right now where I am, Heidi's Cabin, right around the corner, there's a store. It's called J Market. And for a long, long time, many, many years since I've been coming to Heidi's Cabin, it was the only store there on the corner. So, of course, people had to come. But guess what? This is stuff they never foresaw. Now, 3 buildings down, they built a brand new 7-Eleven. And now when you walk in, there's crickets. Everybody's in the 7-Eleven. This is stuff you just can't plan for. But that's why when you, okay, I took a business plan course. It was through the government. It was in 2001. And one of the things the bank is going to ask you when you go there, you got your business plan, all your investors or whoever you're going to get the money from. Then they're going to say, well, what's your plan B? How you going to pay us if your plan A, if this business plan you're showing me, you're selling liquor or whatever it is, cigarettes. If you're not earning the money there, what are you going to do? What else are you going to do? How else are you going to generate that money? Man, a business plan is more than just something you got in your head. He said, brown out unclean water, cobra in the kitchen, drunken locals with grass huts instead inside. What's he saying? What are you talking about, man? Do you live here? I couldn't even understand him. I couldn't understand it. He said, do you think crippled people on SSI live in a rural area? What do you mean, the province? And what do you mean crippled? You're in a wheelchair? I don't know if I'd want to live in the province in a wheelchair. If you saw where I live, I don't even live in the province. I live in an undeveloped subdivision. And you would catch hell if you rode a if you were in a wheelchair where I live. If you're crippled and you either on a walker or you're in a wheelchair, man, you got to stay in the bubble, man. You got to live in the city. I mean, why in the world would you want to live out there like that? I mean, you can, but you're gonna catch hell. Hey, what's up, Mr. Old Sal? He said, much love and respect, man. Thank you. He says it's hard to get stuff on an island. You have a food business, they probably won't like your American food anyway. It better be good. Okay. Right before the pandemic, there was an American guy, Mike's Beer and Burgers. He had great food because you're gonna know you got great food if Filipinos patronize your business. Well, once the pandemic hit, it shut down and then he eventually died. But he had great burgers, man. That's why I went for the burgers. He had great American food. He used to get his meat from Australia, I believe. But this is stuff you can't plan for. But they're gonna ask you that. The bank's gonna ask you that. Hey, what's up, Ryan Avery? If anybody's in Dumagetti, man, and want to go to lunch or something, or dinner or something, or just hang out on the boulevard, man, let me know, because uh, I'm here by myself, really, man. He said Philippines in full effect make big money. Yeah, they did for that 1 year. He said for that 1 year they made $100,000. He said they grossed 100,000, which is a lot of money in the Philippines. But they never saw the pandemic coming. How can you plan for that? They've never recovered. Okay, that's all we're saying. They had a great business. He said, why did you expats think that the province is easy to live in? That's a tough life. Well, all provinces aren't the same, but yeah, it is tough, man. It's tough because, like the man said, Thomas said, sometimes you can't get stuff on an island. Imagine trying to get something in the province. So you got to go to the city at least once a week to get your supplies because there's nothing there. They'll usually have a big sorry store, where they got more supplies normally. It's almost like a mini grocery store, but that's about it. You're gonna have to leave that area. There's nothing there. And then, the loneliness and the boredom sets in. You better know what you're doing. He said, hold on, Cal, I'll meet you in 2 days. Well, I'll be hopefully. Look, man. Normally, if you go, see, I deal with JRC, which I'm the next time I come, I'm just gonna go to the immigration because it takes too long now. It used to be if you go to JRC, you give them your stuff, pay them the 1,000 pesos, you come back the next day. Now it's 2 days, and it's just getting too expensive to do that. And now it's costing me more to extend than it's worth for real. I know I get to get away and for a change up every now and then, but I gotta buy food, I gotta pay for the Airbnb. It's just not worth it. He said Filipinos expect an extra month's pay at the end of the year. There goes your business plan. A lot of times they get that as a bonus if they got a real job. Most of the people, um, that you're going to run into, they don't really have good jobs. They're working under the table. Everybody can't work for the government. He said some people take chances on businesses, some take chances on women. It's a risk reward. Either way, don't let someone scare you into how you live in the fourth quarter. Yeah, I take my chances with the woman. He said, my bad. I took a good friend's phone call, the new financial requirements to become a resident. What do you mean? A resident where? Here in the Philippines? What do you mean? Because you're 40? I think you can, at 40, you can retire now, but it's going to cost you more money. I think it's a $30,000 bond. He said, the guy in charge of the highways owns 40 cars. What the hell? Yeah, you're going to put yourself uh, in the sights of some of the bad guys and important people when you start opening up a business. You just better make sure you got all the right visa and stuff and the license and stuff. Yeah, he said Filipinos come through customs at the airport with a face mask, plastic shield, and he just said take that crap off. Yeah, but people don't realize, man. Over here, man, we call hell. We're the only country in the world who had to wear that shield, that big ass plastic shield. Okay, even if you living with the woman, when you out in public, you both had to have it on. If I'm on a motorcycle with Marilyn, she's got to have one on. I got to have one on. Then I got to have a plastic board in between us when you're outside, even though we sleep together every night. It's crazy over here, man. But remember, you're in the Philippines. You got to do what they do. He said the only business you should start in the Philippines is a YouTube or digital nomad stuff. Or, like I said, some guys, they up in the Angeles City, they got bars and even that is going to be tough. But it's a whole different ball game. He's probably never owned a business in America, but he wants to own one over here. I mean, if you can offer something that Filipinos don't offer, or if you can do something Filipinos can't do, why not? Hell, there's benefits to being the only game in town. But if you're gonna compete against Filipinos over here, man, they're gonna run circles around you. You can't compete with them because you don't know the culture well enough. You don't have the patience they've got. You're used to getting paid in dollars, not pesos. He said, pick a good one, Sakara. Not all these women need your money, just your love. Well, hell no, they need your. That's the other way around. They don't need your love. They need your money. we can have that discussion, but you can't convince people of that. Everybody's the exception, man. Look, if you meet these women on dating sites, man, it's all about money, man. I mean, what's the big deal about that? You're gonna have to pay anyway. I mean, it's unspoken, so she's never gonna really tell you. He said, "Yeah, you're right, Cal. On the island, everything comes in on the basic small boats. One small street that doesn't cover the small island. A few sorry stores, but that's about it. Yeah, and if you're in a city, man, imagine the competition you're gonna have. This man, Jay Market, had all the business at one time. Now he's got the big gorilla on the corner, 7-Eleven. So what I would do if I were him, I would never tell him this. I would open up an hour earlier than 7-Eleven, and then I would stay open an hour later. I get some of that business back some kind of way because he can't compete with 7-Eleven. Well, this is not true. This is just your opinion, man. That's good food over here. He said, you know why Filipino food is terrible? He said, because the power grid keeps disrupting the refrigeration, plus poverty using cheap cuts and recycling oil for money. Well, what food are you talking about? Because that's not the case everywhere. Every place doesn't have brownouts. If you're living in places like Manila and the Philippines and all of that, now if you're talking about street food, that's another story. But to say the Filipino food is terrible, man, you're crazy, man. You don't know what you're talking about. I can bring you to a little place like San Carlos City. They got good food. There's 3 or 4 places where the food is just as good there as it is anywhere you go. And remember, you can always cook your own food, but it's just not the case, man. I mean, I don't, um, frequent calendarias uh, unless I know who's cooking the food. Because when we lived in Siquijor Island, the gym where we used to work, they had a little small restaurant, a little carinderia. The food was as good as any in any restaurant. But I knew they were cooking that food every day because they were so popular that all the food would be gone. And whatever it was they had was delicious. The pan said again, what's that pig's blood, man? It was so delicious. Everything they cooked, green beans, whatever it was, and it was hot. But are there horror stories over here? Are there places I wouldn't eat? Absolutely, I wouldn't. Uh, Gia's Island said work online. I know a Filipino working for a bank in Georgia. She's online working all night. Yeah, but that's not a business. And like I said, who wants to come over here and work? Remember, you got to work. Okay, we're 12 hours ahead. That means you're working at night when you should be asleep. Man, working a third shift at 60 years old, man, you'll be dead in a short while. What's up, Richie Rich? He said, let me put you up on game, Cal. I go to BOI in North Edsa here way faster. Your visa will be done quick, in and out in 15 hours. Yeah, but if you just go to just the regular Bureau of Immigration, like you're saying, if I go when I did my visa, me and Maryland did it in March, well, last of February of this year. Man, we was in and out of there probably within an hour or two. The main Bureau of Immigration, they got so many windows, they got so many people. I mean, it was so quick, I couldn't believe it. I was like, I don't remember it being so fast the last time because I've been there before. It was fast. He said, I don't know how black men in province living in that deep province. It's a lot of them, man. I got, okay, Sterling Edwards. He comes on here all the time. But he lived in the city for 2 years first. They built the house in the province. You know, some people like that. I got a friend, John Thomas. He lives in the province of Butuan City, but he goes to Butuan, I guess, a couple of times a week or something, or a couple of times a month. But yeah, it's a lot of brothers that live in the province. They like their quiet life like that. But they're older guys, of course, that's the excuse me, it's the Bureau of Immigration, the BOI. But yeah, I go to the main one, man. You in and out of there. Yeah, he says Bureau of Immigration. And yeah, while Richie Rich is on here, it's not long, man. We'll be one as a matter of fact, 1 month from today, we're gonna have that meet and greet collaboration up in Makati, guys. If you're in Makati, Manila, anywhere like that, it's gonna be great. Come out and meet some great food. I mean, meet some great people, have some great conversation, great food at Draft Restaurant and Brewery in the Power Plant Mall in Makati, September 27th from 4 to 8. And we'll probably linger around there a little bit longer. And then who knows what's going to happen after that. Yeah, here he is, Berlin Edwards. He lives in the province. He said heavy rains and winds here in Nevada. Well, it's been raining since I've been in Dumaguete, and it stopped now. But it's going to start back. But it's rainy season. He said the Lapu Lapu immigration was cool when I was there. Yeah, that's another one. It just depends on where you are. But it's really best to deal with the Bureau of Immigration. But it just so happened, it used to be so fast at JRC, and I'd be like, I don't care to pay this 1,000 pesos, it's nothing. Because the last time I went to the immigration in Dumaguete, man, they make you jump through hoops. You gotta have a 2x2 photos and all that stuff. I was shocked. I was like, huh? Maybe I gotta next time I'm gonna try just the immigration. I'm gonna come like a week before, and then if it's too much, I can always go next door. But now it's 2 days. And I'm like, nah, it's okay. I just don't. There's no benefit to it anymore. He says I'll be in Manila arriving October 11th. I'll be missing the meet and greet. Yeah, about a few days. Yeah, a couple of weeks really. I'm thinking about leaving from there, going to Thailand or um, Vietnam. That's a good thing about living in Manila, man. You right there. Yeah, but the Philippines has good food, man. It just depends on who cooks it. You know, that's the thing about it. I've had some. Uh, I've been fortunate that I've been around some good cooks since I've been here. He said the only good Krispy Kreme donut I ever had was in a longer pole. It wasn't as sweet as the ones in America, man. You can do the same thing here as you can in America. You can watch them make them if you go to Bacala in the SM Mall. But yeah, that's sweet, man. It's just too sweet, really. He said, I can't see myself living in Providence permanently. I'll go crazy. Yeah, it's just, it's a preference, man. It's something that you have to work up to really. I wouldn't get off the plane and move to the province. He said they then hitting up Thailand and going to Miss Universe pageant over there. Oh, okay. Is that where it's going to be this year? When I was there in 2022, there was a pageant, man, a beauty pageant, and we thought there was women, man. It was lady boys. Even when you get right up on them, man, they look like women. I was like, man, this is scary. Me and Eric Cherry, we were at I think it's called the Century World Mall, a big gigantic mall right there by the BTS. We were leaving, as a matter of fact, and we're coming down because it's 7 stories high. We were on the second story and we see this beauty pageant. And we're thinking, wow, look at that. Then we got down there, man, they're lady boys. You better be careful. Yeah, a lot of times, man, I mean, I cook my own food over here. I really don't like to eat out a whole lot, even at home, though, because you never know who's cooking your food, man. You really got to be careful. At least the sanitation part of it. He says, I love the province. What he saying? He says, I'm all in on the local foods. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff that I've grown to love over here. Uh, Shrimp paste, depending on if I'm down in Zamboanga, excuse me, I'll eat the dried fish because they got the big dried fish. It just tastes like country ham to me. But it's a bunch of stuff, off the wall stuff that I didn't think I would like. But he said my blood pressure has dropped significantly, and I'm now more relaxed than ever before. So yes, Philippines has changed my life along with the daily intimacy. Yeah, but isn't your wife or girlfriend? Isn't she pregnant? Well, I guess they say over here you're giving the baby longer hair or something when you do it while she's pregnant. He said my girl has 2 very beautiful sisters and one is a chef. The food is delicious here. I've never had any problems with the food here. It's when I hear people talk about that, we're always comparing. And I brought up something. I'm in a group with W Secrets of Success and TJ Johnson. And the guy who went viral being over in Kenya, he on one of his rants because he's going viral for more than just the incident with the woman. It's how he's talking down on Kenya. He was talking about the infrastructure there and how bad it was. And I thought, no one ever talks about the infrastructure over there or anywhere else other than the Philippines. They're always comparing the Philippines with someplace, and they always start with infrastructure. I'm like, I never heard that until I got on YouTube, and I've never heard it anywhere else. He shocked me when he said that because you got bloggers over in Kenya and different places. They never talk about the infrastructure because it's not really that important, really. I mean, you want to be somewhere where you got Wi-Fi, you can get around and everything. But the infrastructure is not the number one thing people are going to these places for. Not me. I mean, it's gonna enter somewhere into the conversation, but it's not number one. If it's number one, I'm staying at home. I'm going to Singapore or one of those places, but you always gonna sacrifice something. I know that he's talking about one thing about Thailand is the food choices. You got so many. Okay, but good food is good food to me. There's only so much you can do with beef, chicken, pork, and fish. You said pack something for the diarrhea. I say pack something for the constipation. I always get constipated on that long flight over here. Certainly for the first day or two, you're not using at all. And then it just hits you. You be like, damn, I ain't use it. So you go to the pharmacy and get the Dulcolax. And trust me, it works over here. When you take that stuff, man, you better be in for a long stay in the room. Because you try to go out there, it's coming. But that's part of that pack that people always talk about. He said, my wife packs all those kinds of medication. They call it some kind of pack where when, a lot of service guys talk about that. When they come overseas, they have it with all the medication and stuff like that. Because people always ask me about vaccinations when I come to the Philippines. The doctor, if you go on the website, uh, travel.state.gov, it'll suggest certain uh, vaccinations that you should get before coming over here. But I never did. It's something that I never even thought about when I got on the plane to come over here. I didn't know if I was going to need if I could have arrived in the Philippines and I was like, well, Mr. Roach, you need yellow fever shot or whatever it is. I'd have been shit out of luck. I didn't even check on something like that. But you really don't need anything. They suggest you take certain things, hepatitis, A and B. Uh, it's a few of them. And a lot of it, your insurance won't pay. But we never talk about that. It's not like I think some places in Africa, you have to have shots before you can get in. Is that true? He said Singapore better have great infrastructure. It's expensive as hell. Well, you can see where that tax money's going. You can see where our tax money's going. It's not going anywhere. Somebody was talking about it. I was watching a show, and it's true. Our infrastructure is standing still. If you go to some of these places, man, and you see how their infrastructure is just it's just blown by us. You don't see much new stuff being built over in America. And they're not even improving on it. It's because they're not paying their share of taxes, man. We don't have the tax base that we used to have. They're trying to pay as little tax as they possibly can. So you don't see like that big ass um, hotel in Singapore with the ship at the top. You don't see anything like that in America. The biggest stuff you see, the spectacle stuff you see in America is like in Vegas. You don't see anything phenomenal like that anymore. He said, I wear a diaper. Yeah, you better do something, man. The over the counter medication here, man, it's on a whole other level. I'm telling you now. And if you think it's a fart, it's not. And you can fart if you want to. You're gonna shit your pants. I guarantee you. And you'll be somewhere in the mall like that. And that's a long ride home. He said, I'm kind of excited because they said it was 15 hours in the air from the United States to the Philippines. I can't wait to get to the Philippines. It'll be a new experience for me. When are you supposed to be here, Raymond? It's going to be a new experience. But like I said, try to, you know, calm down a little bit, man, before you get over here. Yeah, you think, oh, it's a spark coming. No, that's all your intestines emptying out with the damn medication they got over here. I'm telling you from experience, good thing I was at home. You know, you just feel it running out and you run in there. Luckily, I got the 2 bathrooms now. Yeah, you're right. It is a constipation too. Yeah, for me it did. It hit me. I mean, it hasn't been one time I haven't come over here um, that I haven't been constipated off that long flight. Somebody was telling me it's the air from the plane, the stale air in the plane, and then I was told it was something else. I was told to drink a lot of water while you're up there. That may help. They said maybe you're dehydrated, but whatever it is, it happens to me every time. But thank y'all so much, man, for your super chat, super stickers, all your thumbs up, all your support for Sunshine Shoulders, man. I want to get on here since I'm in Dumagetti. If you're here in Dumagetti, man, let's hook up because I'm getting ready to. I'm gonna go to my favorite place because I need me a steak, man. After them damn pancakes yesterday, I feel guilty, man. I had some pineapple pancakes, man. You never tried that, man. Shame on you. I tried it in the Navy when I was stationed in Memphis, man. They made some pineapple pancakes. I never forgot that. They just take those crushed pineapple and put it in your pancake mix and stir it up, man, and fry the pancakes like normal. Man, thank me now, man. They delicious. So I'm gonna get me the filet mignon at Cafe Racer. Only $4.95. You get, your steak and you get 2 sides. You can't beat that, man. It's real steak and it's good. I get mine well done, even though they don't cook it well done. That's why I tell them well done. It's medium. It's really like medium well, but it's not well done. He said, if you're late getting your visa renewal, can you get put out of the Philippines or just charge a late fee? A late fee. But there's no reason to do that. You get 30 days when you get here, Ryan. Just the third week, you got like another week left. Go on to immigration. You can do that. Sometimes they'll let you go 2 weeks, but sometimes they'll tell you it's too early. I usually do it like a week before. But um, there's no reason, man, to overstay your visa here. There's no excuse for that. I mean, I don't know what you would be doing. Some people just forget, but don't forget that, man. There's no reason to do it. But take care, y'all. I'll see y'all next time. I'm gonna upload that video about that lady. It's really just a cautionary tale, to be honest with you. She's famous where she's from. She was excited to come to the Philippines, and it turned into a nightmare for her. She never got through immigration. She said she charged them with racism, harassment, and humiliation. Uh, she said they treated her real bad. I was harassed. I mean, it's just that's all you can call it. My lawyer called it that, and that's why I kind of could relate to her because I was scared too. I didn't know what was going to happen. But when you come overseas, that's what you run into sometimes because you're in somebody else's country. They have their own rules, their own way of doing things. But take care, y'all. See y'all later.